Xbox Record This is a podcast dedicated to gaming, nostalgia, and Xbox. If you'd like to find out more, visit xboxrecordthis.com. Oh, hello. My name is Daddy Diwali, and welcome to Xbox Record This, Episode 0, an introduction. Um, I'm pretty pumped right now because I don't know if you can see, well, if you're listening, you won't be able to see, but if you watch the video, I've got a pretty sweet background here, so I'm pretty pumped about that. So I'm just really excited about that. But anyway, this is just going to be a little brief introduction to the podcast. I figured that it, it, it wouldn't make a sense if I just threw a podcast out. I kind of want to do this correctly and professionally. So I wanted to do a brief introduction of the podcast. And this is my first time ever recording a video and audio podcast. So it's going to be a learning experience. But hopefully, if you're for some reason listening to this, I hope you'll bear with me. But yeah, I just want to do a brief introduction. So here we go. Basically, I just want to say that I'm a gamer. I love all consoles I play. I own all of them, but I consider Xbox my home. And I guess, it's more than a home. I've got over 225,000 gamer score. I'm kind of obsessed with the Chivos at times. But I've owned a lot of different consoles. So I'll get into that later, but this is first and foremost going to be an Xbox podcast, but also it's going to celebrate, um, obviously, first Xbox, but it's also going to celebrate gaming in general. And the main reason why I'm kind of doing this, or I wanted to start it, is I was tired, or I am still tired of the constant negativity um, and bashing and just overall just bad vibes thrown at Xbox. And I don't get it. Honestly, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I figured, why not do something different? I honestly just want to try to stay positive. That doesn't mean I'm not going to critique Xbox and Microsoft when they're doing stupid things, but that doesn't mean I'm going to sugarcoat, everything. I want to celebrate what they've accomplished and what they've done and what I think people forget about. Like Xbox has done so much for gaming, and I think people just completely forget about it or are oblivious to it because they're like, oh, the Xbox One happened. And say what you want about the Xbox One, there's still great things about it, but we'll get into that another time. So again, I want to focus on the positivity of Xbox, what they've done for gaming, and just celebrate that. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just tired of the negativity, and I want to stay positive. So, and just to like throw some like quick ideas out there, the PlayStation One, which was one of my all-time favorite consoles, was introduced in September of 1995. Okay, the first OG Xbox came out in November of 2001. That's 6 years difference. And I swear people act like PlayStation has been around forever and has done like just this, God's gift to gaming. But they only have 6 more years of like real console history. So I just want to throw that out there. Like I feel like everyone thinks, and I mean Nintendo was obviously way before that in the 80s, right? I think for the Nintendo for NES, but um I just want to throw that out there. They're not that Xbox is not that far behind PlayStation, and PlayStation is not that far behind Nintendo. More so, but let's celebrate all of it, okay? And basically, I just want to put some respect on Xbox's name. Like they deserve it. Microsoft and Xbox have done awesome things for gaming, and we're gonna celebrate and talk about that. So let's talk about the name of the Xbox or of the podcast. So Xbox, record this. I think it's a great name, and obviously it's a play on Xbox. Record that for Connect back in 2013. Rip Connect. Not the best part of Xbox history, but I think that's what's kind of cool. What's funny about it is that, as dumb as the Connect was, and yeah, I can't say it as good as it was, as dumb as it was not as bad as it was. There were still some cool things about it, and I remember being like all in about it for the voice commands. I loved saying Xbox record that. I loved some of the stuff in Rise where you're like volley, fire volley. Like mostly it was just or watch TV or go to this. Like I did find myself using the voice commands a lot, and I mean that's one of the main reasons why we named it this. But originally, I was going to call it underrated an Xbox podcast because, like I said earlier, I just feel like the Xbox is um, severely, severely underrated and underappreciated. Um, but I threw around some names with my friends, and I thought of how about Xbox Record that, but of course, across all of uh, social media, all of those handles were taken everywhere. So I couldn't get that. And I actually wrote to a guy on Twitter who responded to me just the other day saying, yeah, I do own it. He had like one post and one follower. And so I wrote to the one follower figuring he owned it. He's like, yeah, I do own it, man. If I can remember the password, he's like, you can have it. But it would have been a pain in the butt to get it for like Instagram and um, YouTube and everything. So I just figured I threw out that name and everyone really liked it out of all of them. And then when my friend shout out to Cordy Morgs, he said, well, what about Xbox Record This? I'm like, oh, I didn't really think about that. I was so set on that. I didn't think, well, first of all, I think I did think of that, but I thought that this would have been taken everywhere, but I never checked. But lucky for me and for you and for anybody who's listening, Xbox Record This is secured by me, and I'm trying to get like a trademark or copyright for it. So I don't know. I don't know the legalities of using Xbox in the name, but I think I might be okay. And if not, I can slightly change it. But that's how we came up with the name. I think it's hilarious. Rip Connect, even though nobody misses it, and we'll always remember saying Xbox. Record that because that was cool. Come on, that was cool. Um, so moving on, about me, just a little bit of gaming history, where I started, how I got into gaming. I think the first console I remember playing on was for a lot of people my age, an old man, was the NES. And my favorite games, I never owned a Nintendo or the Nintendo Entertainment System, but I do remember playing at my cousin's a lot and one of my neighbors. And my favorite games on that would have been Super Mario Brothers, obviously, but also Duck Hunt. I remember being obsessed with Duck Hunt, thinking that was the coolest thing ever. Just go right up to the screen and and shoot. And then what would be another good one that I liked? The Turtles and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I don't remember which one that was, but I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever playing as the Turtles. And then Super Mario 3 I played a lot of, but I never owned it, so that was not like a big console in my history. My first console, and I will never forget, my aunt Tia Lupi, she bought me a Super Nintendo, and or I don't know if she got it or my parents did, but maybe my parents did, and then my aunt got me The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. And I remember playing Super Nintendo a little bit at a friend's house, but never getting too into it. Like playing it occasionally, like Super Mario World, But I'll never forget once I got my own Super Nintendo, and then I played Link to the Past, and that game blew my mind. And today, still to this day, it's in my top five all time of games. Like I think I have. Well, we can talk about that another time, but I think it's my top five still, along with Super Metroid and Super Mario World. I mean, those three games, incredible. Like those are. I'll try to do like my top three or four, five, maybe 3 to 5 games for each system here, and man, those are it for me. And then I would say Donkey Kong was a big one. Donkey Kong Country. Trying to think what else did I mean, those were it. Like I was obsessed with those. Like Zelda. Oh my god, so good, so good. Oh, and Star Fox. I think I like Star. I remember thinking that was good, but looking back, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another one, but those are the main ones for Super Nintendo. I did own a Game Boy. I think the only games really that I could point out I owned an original Game Boy. I probably had a Game Boy Color and like a Game Boy Light or whatever that was. But um, my top games for that would be Metroid 2. What an incredible game! Amazing. And I think it was, what is the Zelda? The Zelda, is it? Which one is it? I want to look it up. But what was the Zelda? Was it the one that was just remade on the Switch? Can't remember. Now I'm embarrassed because I remember that. Link's Awakening. I remembered. Um, that was another fantastic Game Boy game, and like Tetris, like those are awesome. I owned a Game Gear randomly. Thought that was the coolest thing after seeing Surf Ninjas, Moto Surf, Moto Surf. But um, I couldn't tell you a single game on Game Gear, so we'll just move on from that. Didn't ever have a Sega Genesis or any other Sega console, so rip Sega. And then I moved on after the Super Nintendo to a very influential system for me, the PS1. And again, some of my all-time top 10 games would be Metal Gear Solid. To this day, still an incredible game. And that boss fight with Psycho Man is incredible. What an incredible game. Like, talk about like Legend of Zelda Link to the Past blowing my mind. When I played Metal Gear Solid, mind blown. The cutscenes, the acting, the ideas, the plot. Like, it was a little out there, but like, just that was like the first time I played a game where I was like, wow, this is bigger than just a game. This is not only art, this is a huge story, and the combat and the emotions. And oh my god, that game is so good. My god. Metal Gear Solid. Another one that blew my mind, Resident Evil 2, still my top. I would say probably the remake it has replaced it, but still, I don't know. I'll never forget. I was upstairs in a room with my buddy. We were playing late at night, and we're running through the police station, and my friend Askins is playing, and he's controlling Leon, and he's running, running through, and then the zombies break through the windows and grab you. And I'll never forget, he just paused the game, and he was so afraid, and he just set it down. He's like, Dan, I can't play this anymore. Terrifying. And then after that, I'm controlling it, and then you run into the liquor. Oh my gosh, what an incredible game! Like, again, the graphics, acting was a little cheesy looking back, but like those two games, the graphics and acting, like that showed to me like story and movie like acting and story could be in a game. And what's next? PS1. What else would I say? Final Fantasy VII. I wasn't big into Final Fantasy VII as everyone else. I kind of got into it late, but once I got into it, I was sucked into it. And my biggest complaint I had with Seven is like I had already played probably, I can't remember my timeline, but I just remember it being like these graphics aren't very good. I didn't like the art style of it. Um, and it's kind of confusing, and like I can't remember much of it now, um but then Final Fantasy 8 came out, and that blew me away, like the graphics in 8 and the jump from 7 to 8. And I liked that it was a more happy, more positive ending. That was another influential game for me on the PS1. I'm recently trying to play Final Fantasy 9, but still can't finish it. But I'm trying to think, what other PS1 games, those are the ones that really just stand out to me. And that was like an amazing console. Oh, I played Crash Bandicoot too, of course, Crash, and that was a very special console to me. It was the PS1. After the PS1, oh, I forgot to write on here. I did have a Nintendo 64. I got one late. I think my younger brother got it, and I wasn't too big on the 64. The only game that really stood out for me there was obviously Ocarina of Time. I still haven't played Majora's Mask, but that that Zelda blew me away, and I got into it late. Like, for some reason, I had avoided it. I'm not sure why. Thinking back, and but then when I finally played, I was like, wow, this is incredible. But I don't think that's aged as well. A lot of people that consider that to be one of the best Zeldas, or for some reason Breath of the Wild, but don't get me started on that. Link to the Past is the best Zelda game ever. Just it's over. Never got into GoldenEye, and then I would say another 64 game I probably liked was obviously Super Mario Kart 64, and that's about it. Couldn't tell you anything else. Okay, then after that, moved on to the PS2. When the PS2 came out, I'm trying to think, man, I don't even know if I could tell you any. Maybe Grand Theft Auto. There's a Grand Theft Auto on that, right? So Grand Theft Auto 3, I want to say. That was, life changing. But that was around high school for me. So I got really big into Madden and football and franchises. So that's when I was playing a lot. Every year I was like a diehard Madden, getting that every year. Madden, Madden, Madden. Like that was my thing. But then this is where. Oh, wait, no. And then I had a GameCube. So next, I think I had a GameCube next. And I don't even know what I played on that. I have no idea. I can't even think what would be my favorite GameCube games. Oh, Resident Evil 4. Oh, and Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes, the remake of Metal MGS1. So, which is a fantastic game. I wish we can play that on modern consoles. Can we do something about that, please? Um, so after that, I would say, yeah, I think those are the only real GameCube. Resident Evil 4, fantastic game. Not my favorite Resident Evil, but people love it. I got into that late, and I remember it took me a while to get through and beat. But once I did beat it, what a fantastic game, Resident Evil 4. But Resident Evil 2 is better. Um, After that, and then this is where the magic starts. So I remember it was my senior year. So this is in 2001, or no, around my senior year, 2001, 2002, 2003 of high school. And whenever the Xbox came out, my buddy Mike Cito, shout out to Cito, he got an Xbox, and I was like, no way, man, I'm PlayStation forever, man. No, I was diehard PlayStation guy, and he's like, Dan, come over, you need to play this game. It's called Halo, and I was like, Halo. Didn't even like Xbox Halo wasn't even on my radar, right? I remember going to his house and playing the campaign and us staying up all night playing. And that was the first time I played a game with the thumbsticks and having to control an FPS game, and just life changing. And I'll never forget us playing Halo's campaign and getting through it and going and getting to the library, and what an incredible game, what an incredible launch game for your new system. And from that moment on, like, I was a Halo guy. um I didn't get an Xbox though, and funny enough, as much as I loved Halo, I would just go over to Mike's house to play. I would play Halo with him. We'd play all the time. And then we started to play Madden franchise on it together. Hey, speaking of Madden, hey Madden, it's 2021. Can we get online co-op franchise? Can me and a friend play on the same franchise as we're going through a season? On the same side of the ball and on offense and on defense. How cool would that be? Is that too much to ask? But anyway, um, played a lot of Madden, and then senior year. So this was in 0203. Uh, we had we would all get together. We'd go on Fridays, football Fridays. We'd all go to a park nearby and play football. And it was incredible. Loved it. I'd tackle football, like 7-on-7 or something like that. And then after football, we would go to a buddy's house, and people would lug their giant CRT TVs and Xboxes, and we would have a Halo LAN party. Incredible. Some of my most fond memories were those football Fridays playing football and then going and playing Halo. Like, what an amazing speaking of Xbox being underrated, LAN parties. Come on, like, game changer. I never experienced something like that. So that's the Xbox. I'm trying to think. Oh, so then I went off to college and I had a PS2. I still had not owned an Xbox console yet, and it was freshman year. And I remember I was playing Ghost Recon, I believe, on the PS2. I think that was on PS2. I'm pretty sure. And then I just remember like seeing videos or seeing on someone else and like, or hearing that, like, look how much better it is on, like, because the Xbox was a beast back then. It was way more powerful than the PS2. And I'm like, you know what? I mean, I love PlayStation, but maybe I should make the switch. And sure enough, I traded in the PS2, got my first Xbox console in college, freshman year, and played Ghost Recon. and or maybe this was so it was. And so I played Ghost Recon. That was a huge game for me. Madden, obviously, football, Halo, obviously. But the big thing for me was like sophomore the next year. I just remember playing a lot of Ghost Recon, and I'll never forget when I got on Xbox Live for the first time. I played with this old group of guys, probably my age now, and Pen Dog was Pen Dog. If you're out there, if you ever listen to this, I'll never forget you guys. You guys are awesome. They took me in and we started playing Ghost Recon, like legit with that comms, that headset that was like sideways and went like this, So um, that's what got me into Xbox Live. What a game changer! Xbox Live. We'll get into that another time, but I want to keep going. And then I'll never forget this moment in my life: the launch of Halo 2. That was the only time I can ever think of where I remember everyone in college talking about one game, and no matter who you were, I remember going to EB Games in Boulder, Colorado. I went to go Buffs. See you, Boulder. Go Buffs. Let's go Buffs. Let's go Buffs. And so I remember pre-ordering the game, and then the midnight launch comes up, and I'll never forget how long that line was. It wrapped all the way around this huge complex, and I remember all of us waiting for hours to get to the game. And I'll never forget just seeing, like nerdy guys, like jocks, football players, basketball, like you name it. It didn't matter what clique you belonged to or what group of friends you were. Everyone was together and excited for Halo 2. I remember my buddy who used to host those LAN parties came down from Colorado State University to wait in line with us. And we didn't get the game until like 3 a.m. Didn't get on Xbox Live until like 4, right? And so we're playing for like an hour, and I'm like, dude, I got to go to bed. I'm like, I got class tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to play a little bit. I remember getting up and leaving, and Aaron still playing. And then I remember coming back from class like late in the afternoon, and he was still playing on Xbox Live. Like, Halo 2 multiplayer. Wow, what a game changer. So that was my Xbox experience. So moving on, I think naturally after that, I eventually moved up to 360. I didn't get a 360 until, I think, when did it launch? 2005, 2006 or something like that. So I didn't get a 360 until 2006, 2007. And I also got a Wii, I just realized, but wow, what a horrible disaster. Like, not disaster. It was a very popular system, but I literally played Madden and that was it. Like, and I think I got Zelda, didn't even played it for like 10 minutes. I was like, I hate everything about that. The controls, like, but they got us. They got us. They got us. Everyone and their mom wanted a freaking Wii, and I remember my parents waited for hours outside of Target to get us one, and I barely played it, and then I sold it, and I made money off of it to pay for like a trip to see a Third Eye Blind concert. But anyway, 360. Wow. That's when I was just fully sucked into Xbox and gaming. Oblivion. I remember I got Oblivion for my brother, and I'd never played it, never held it. I never played Morrowind. And then he played it, I got it for him for his birthday, and when he got his 360, and I at that point was just really playing probably Madden, and I don't even really remember playing many games at the beginning, but it's mostly just Madden. I was just obsessed with Madden. Maybe Gears of War. Hold on. Voice is getting a little dry there. And so my brother I bought him Oblivion. I saw him playing it, and as I'm watching just that opening scene where you're down in the sewers and you breaking out, I'm like, oh my god, this game looks incredible. I need this. So right after I got it for my brother, knowing nothing really much about it, but just hearing it was good, when bought it, I played so much Oblivion, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. So Oblivion, Halo 3, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, Mass Effect trilogy. I mean, if you couldn't tell, Mass Effect trilogy, that's my number one all-time game ever. 3-2-1. 3-1-2. Well, I don't know. if I had to pick one singular Mass Effect game, I know this is controversial, but I loved 3. I feel like it improved on everything. Yes, people were upset with the ending. We don't need to get into that right now, but I loved all the adventures up to it. The all of the relationships. I can talk about Mass Effect 3 forever. We're not going to talk about that. So Mass Effect 3, BioShock was a great game. So many on the 360. Like I can't even think of them right now. So 360 just that's when I would say I got big into game. Battlefield Bad Company 2. Oh, what a fantastic game. Battlefield 3. Um, just that's when I seriously like got sucked into gaming. I mean, I was a gamer before, but like that's when I really just started to play so many more genres, and it really opened up for me. Um, what a great console, and I had so many different PS or 360s. Oh, I forgot to write in here. I did have a PS3 at that time. I got one later, but still on the 360. Top 360 games. I mean, there's so many, but later on, I did get a PS3 late to play Uncharted. Uncharted is like one of my favorite franchises ever. Love Uncharted. Um, Metal Gear Solid 4, had to play that, of course. I played Mag on PS3. I'm probably the only one who played that. And then what else did I play on PS3? Probably Last of Us, and then that was it. The PS3 to me was just not. I mean, if it was 360 all the way, come on, like that was just such a good console. But I love Uncharted. That's like top 10 games for me. Um, and I'm not a big Last of Us fan. I was really the ending really upset me. But we can talk about that another time. So I'm not like all big on The Last of Us. I think honestly, I think it's a little overrated. But so after the 360, of course, like that's what made me realize that I love gaming and love Xbox. But next up, I would say so. Obviously, after the 360, we're going into the Xbox One. I will never forget that Xbox One launch. We're gonna have to talk about that another time. But being a loyal Xbox fan at that point, I got an Xbox One at launch. And as much as everyone loves to trash on the Xbox One, there are some phenomenal games on the system. Ori and the Blind Forest is one of my all-time top 10 favorite games. Sunset Overdrive is an amazing game, and more people should have played it. Sunset Overdrive is a top Xbox exclusive, one of the top games ever. Like just fun and laugh out loud, funny at times, and I loved Sunset Overdrive. Um, what are the Xbox One games? Jeez, Halo 5. What to me brought back multiplayer. I put the most hours into Halo 2's multiplayer. Halo 5 is next. The campaign, not good. We don't need to talk about that. Forza Horizon. I did not play Forza Horizon on 360. What a mistake that was. Wow. Incredible games. Playground games. You make incredible games. Forza Horizon is still underrated. We can talk about that another time. But I mean, there are some of my other favorite games. Prey. Um, there's a lot. I want to move on. Just to give you history. We'll talk about top Xbox One games another time. But criminally hated on, and rightfully so. What a horrible launch. But at the same time, there are great games in there, and there are great Xbox exclusive games in there. But we'll get into that another time. After the Xbox One, I did get a Switch next. Did I? Yeah, I think I got a Switch. I played Breath of the Wild. That's about it. I couldn't tell you another game I've played on my Switch. Just recently sold it, actually. um, Breath of the Wild was good, but not the best. Not the best Zelda game. Sorry, it's not. It's severely overrated. That game is boring at times and empty. And way like if they condensed the map 50%, it would have been a much better game. Totally empty, totally overrated. Nintendo bum, whatever. We'll talk about that another time. Good game, very good game, but not a masterpiece as everyone says. Make it out to be. Then I got an Xbox One X. Jumped into 4K gaming. Loved my Xbox One X. What a fantastic system. That's when I got a 4K TV. Seeing the details, and I remember in Ghost Week on Wildlands, I was like, oh my God, look how much more you could see. Love my One X. I also got a PS Actually, I got a PS4 earlier in the Xbox One generation to play Uncharted 4. Actually, I did. I got a PS4 to play Uncharted 4, but then once I beat that, I sold it. But then got a PS4 Pro again later, and I played some. And at that point, there were more PlayStation exclusives out that I was able to play. I played God of War. I played Spider Man. I think Sunset Overdrive is better than Spider Man. Spider Man is probably my favorite though of the PlayStation exclusives. Oh, well, Uncharted 4, but then it would be Spider Man. And then I'm trying to think. I don't know. I just play. I played. I said God of War. I still need to play Horizon and Days Gone and Ghosts of Tsushima. So those are what I still need to play eventually. After the PS4 Pro, I got that late. I got that basically right before the Series X and the Series S launch. And as you can see behind me, I own one of each. And I will be eventually. I'll get the PS5 probably down the road, but not until they change the color. That thing is hideous. I'll wait till the redesign and up, or at least until they make it black, because that thing hideous, hideous. I can't. I know I don't even look at it. I can't even look at it. The PS4 Pro. I used to think the PS4 Pro was hideous. That thing looks way better now. But anyway, so that's a little bit of a history of me and my gaming. Sorry, I kind of blabbed on there, but it just got me excited thinking about those old games. So moving on to the actual podcast. So again, what can you expect from this podcast? You can expect to just celebrate Xbox and gaming in general. I mean, that's the big thing. Like I said, I want it to be positive. I want us to celebrate what Xbox is doing because they're doing so many good things, especially recently, and that's kind of what inspired me to get into this. So, we're also going to have nostalgia memories with Xbox and gaming in general. As you could tell there, I got really excited about thinking about some of those old games. So, we'll definitely have some good memories and of the good old days, as my brother Miso Pony would say. Um, but yeah, I've got a lot of great. I want to celebrate not only Xbox memories first and foremost, but also just gaming memories in general. Um, and then we're gonna have a main focus and a weekly overview of Xbox news. Um, but we'll also cover other big console news too. But it's gonna be like kind of a I know every other podcast does this, and I want to do it just to keep people up. But I'm guessing this is going to be less. Let's talk about the news, more talk about what we're excited about. How about that? And then, like I mentioned, the good old. I think I want to have like a section about the good old days of gaming, some stories. I'd love to get into that, and I'd love to get questions and interaction from the audience. Assuming that anyone is listening to this besides my friends and the few friends who may or may not listen to this, I'd really like to get into some audience interaction. I love that, and as you'll hear from some of my influences, you'll understand why. And then it's just gonna be fun. I mean, I'm having fun. I'm having a blast. Look at the set. Look at this. I'm pretty pumped right now. I'm pretty pumped with the set. Anyway, moving on. So some influences for the podcast. So I got into podcast. I want to say around 2013 is when right before the console launches. And the first podcast I'd listened to was Unlocked, and I love what my Ryan McCaffrey does over at IGN. I still listen to it, and Beyond. I got really big in Beyond, and I wasn't even a big. I mean, I'm still not a big PlayStation player, but I loved listening to Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty, and I loved Beyond. I might have been a bigger fan of that, and I followed them when they went to Kind of Funny, and I would listen to them and PS I Love You XO and their what was it called, The Morning Show or whatever Colin and Greg did. And then when Colin left, I followed him to Last Stand Media, and I listened to Sacred Symbols at that point exclusively. I mean, it was really just Sacred Symbols and Unlocked. I would listen to what's the one on IGN? Can't remember with Damon Hatfield. Oh you know what I'm talking about. And so, but no, I mean, I was a diehard. I mean, Sacred Symbols. I've been listening to that ever since it started. And Knockback, the nostalgia podcast. I mean, I love everything that Colin and Last Stand is doing, and but yeah, Sacred Symbols was a big influence to me. Um, and like I said, I listened to it. I'm a diehard Sacred Symbols listener, and I didn't even own a PS4 for a majority of the time. So I'm not a big PlayStation gamer. Although I do have 21 or 22 platinums. I don't want to brag or anything, but when I play on PlayStation, I tend to platinum those exclusives. But so yeah, so currently I listen to Unlock still. I listen to Sacred Symbols still. I've been listening to Defining Duke, from Last Stand Media. I love ACG and Mr. Matty Plays. I've been listening to Kind of Funny, XCast. That's like, I can't say that's the other one from Kind of Funny I listen to still is In Review. I love listening to the movie reviews, so I love that. I listen to PTI. I'm a big sports guy, and I don't watch as much as I used to anymore, but Pardon the Interruption with Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, those guys are awesome. They're the reason I'm pretty sure a huge influence to Colin. So, and a lot of podcasts. So those guys I love them. And then I've been recently listening to this podcast this is kind of random. It's called Meeting Tom Cruise. And it's a podcast hosted by these two comedians who just interview people and their stories about how they met Tom Cruise, and their goal is to meet him. And it's hilarious and it's fantastic. And I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. The movie's fantastic. Mission Impossible's Top. I could keep going. Anyway, fantastic. Random podcast. Go listen to it. Listen to mine first. Listen to this one. Listen to Xbox Record This first, of course. But so yeah, so those are my influences, and some of you may like those, some of you may hate those, but they're an influence in why I wanted to get into this, to do this, and hopefully I can, I'll learn something, and I just want to do a good job, and so yeah, I don't know if I wrote this on here, but why am I doing this? Do I think I could do it better? I don't want to say I want to do things better, but there are times where I'm listening, I'm like, that's not right, or you should know this, or on Xbox it does this. And I know not everyone can know everything, and these guys play all kinds of stuff and do everything everywhere, but I just want to bring my voice to the table, and somebody else's. Hopefully we'll talk about co-host as well, but yeah, I just want to take what I've learned and just bring my voice to it in a different way, but also knowing like that those are my major influences, and I'm incredibly thankful, and I will continue to listen and learn. And so yeah. Why should you listen? Why would anyone listen to this Xbox podcast? I hope somebody's listening again. If it's my only friends, Jose, it's cool. Why would I listen? I would listen to this one because it's got a sick name. Xbox Record This. Like, come on, it's a great name. But I think you'll want to listen to this if you've listened to this introduction, which I hope people do. Hopefully you feel the same way about Xbox and them being underrated. Xbox is underrated, and I still think that's a great name, and I might go with that eventually if I get like a copyright strike or something for my name. But Xbox is underrated, they're underappreciated, and they deserve respect, and we need to celebrate them because they've done so many positive things for gaming, and let's not forget that, and let's celebrate it. So yeah, so if you feel the same way about Xbox, or if you agree with some of my thoughts and influences that you've listened to so far, that's why I think you'll listen, and I think you'll enjoy, and I'd love to get, like I said, some audience interaction. So I'm excited. I'm pretty pumped. I mean, look at the set. I mean, come on, look at it. Come on. And most importantly, I think, why should you listen? I think you should listen if you just want to be a part of a positive community, and like this is the main tagline of the podcast: a positive community celebrating Xbox, gaming, and nostalgia, the good old days. So if you want to be a part of that community and celebrate Xbox and gaming and nostalgia with me, then get over here and start writing and start connecting to me. So I just want to say welcome to Xbox Record This, the newest, and I want to say maybe one of the coolest Xbox podcast out there. Thank you for listening. If anyone's made it this far, thank you. I'm almost at 40 minutes. Oh, I've only got like a few more minutes of this free trial on this program, so I got to wrap this up. So you can find me across all social media. My social is at Daddy D Wally, and that's Twitter, Instagram, Xbox, PlayStation, blah 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 blah. So at Daddy D Wally. The podcast, major reason why it's named this, you can find it on at Xbox Record This on all socials. Um, I'm pretty excited that we got that gamer tag, um, or that name for all the social media sites. And again, thank you for listening. Sincerely, I mean that. If anyone's listened to this, I really thank you. Like, I'm pretty excited. This is pretty cool. just to even have this, just to even have this out there. Like, I'm excited. So thank you for real. Um, and I am accepting co-host applications. Uh, I will be doing this solo, but I don't want to do this solo forever. And I don't know if I mean I'd love to have some of my friends do it, but most of them are like, "Oh yeah, your podcast suck." So, they're just poo pooing it on me, so being caca heads. But I would love to have a co-host. So if you want to join me and you feel like you're digging what I'm putting out there, please write me at xboxrecordthis at gmail.com. I'm accepting applications. I'd love to get a co-host. I think a show needs to have more than one person, so I don't want to do this by myself forever. But yeah, so I think that's it. So once again, welcome to Xbox Record This. Thank you so much. If anyone out there has listened to this, thank you. I really do mean or watched. And yeah, I'm just excited. I mean, look at this. Look at that Omni Blade over there. Look at this. It's pretty sick. Anyway, thank you. Daddy D Wally out. Xbox Record This as a podcast created by Daniel Walenzik. You can follow him at Daddy D Wally on Twitter. You can also follow the show at Xbox Record This on Twitter and various social media. You can also find out more at xboxrecordthis.com.